Welcome to V is for Victory, a podcast about how small businesses overcome big battles. I'm your host, Jill Miller of Vera Creative, a boutique marketing firm in the Chicagoland area where I'm also a part-time professor of an advertising course. Join me as I talk with entrepreneurs about the challenges they face as well as their strategies for success. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 35. I'm with Nate Palmer today. He's a fitness and nutrition expert. Nate, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill. I'm really excited to dive in.
Yeah, so tell the listeners, how did you become the expert?
I feel like, expert or guru is kind of a silly thing or pretentious thing to call yourself, but I don't really know how else to go about it, because I feel like this has been something that's been a passion of mine for a really long time. I've spent it's been 13 years in the industry in various forms, and just seeing what works for different people. So my fitness journey didn't really start by the way a lot of people's do. I think through martial arts or wanting to be better at sports. But when I was 11, and we'll just take it all the way back. That's cool.
That's cool. Tell me about your childhood.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to post up on the couch right here.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I was
all the time in the world.
When I was 11 or 12, I was home by myself. My mom was dropping my sisters off at school, and someone broke into my house. So they broke the window, came into the back door. And I was there. I saw what was happening. I grabbed a steak knife out of the knife block, and I went to my room and hid underneath the bed after locking this little rinky dink lock on my door. And I hear this guy coming down the hallway of my hardwood floors, with his work boots on. And and he bangs on my bedroom door, and I'm just peeing my pants. I'm losing my mind. And I think at that moment, what my thought process is if I, somehow survive the next 20 minutes or whatever, I don't ever really want to be put in this position again, obviously. I don't ever want to feel powerless like this. I don't want to feel like my autonomy's been taken away. I don't want to feel like I have no other recourse other than just to hide. So I need to adapt and become someone who this can't happen to. So for me, that looked I want to put on a bunch of muscle armor. So that way I'm unfuckwithable, basically. You can't mess with me. You can't take power over me. And that was kind of my answer. So my first, couple of years, maybe even a decade into working out, it was all about how do I avoid the pain of fear, the pain of feeling I'm inadequacy, I'm not good enough, strong enough, big enough, masculine enough, all those sorts of things. And that was kind of the impetus that got me into fitness. It's changed since then, thank God. But that was really where it kind of kicked off.
Okay. I have a million questions about this story. How did you get out of this situation? Did they catch the guy? What happened?
I'm just going to leave it just a cliffhanger right there.
Yeah, no, can't.
And if you want to know more information, you have to buy my third book. It's not released yet or written, but so yeah, so I was such a scared kid that I was in my room with a phone, and I didn't call 911 because I didn't want to get in trouble for calling 911. So what I did is I called my 75-year-old grandpa, who came over. And so he came to the front door just as this guy's leaving out the back. It's the 90s. So he leaves with a DVD player and some of my mom's earrings. So it's really the worst part of the story is not that he probably took $200 worth of stuff, but I was just it was a traumatic incident. And if you ever had someone break into your house, whether you were there or not, it's very disconcerting and it feels gross. It feels very,
even when someone breaks into your car, which is how when you move to a big city like Chicago, that's how the city welcomes you.
Yeah.
Your car gets broken into. It just happens to everybody, I'm convinced. But even that just seems such a violation and
violating is the word. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So he banged on the door, but he obviously didn't come in. You never.
No. So I saw him out the back. I saw him at the front door. I saw him out the back door. So I know what he looked like, or I have a kind of a cloudy picture in my head from 2 decades ago of what this guy looked like. But didn't come into my room, which he easily could have. That door had barely any lock on it whatsoever, just a little oomph, and he would have been in the room. But so I called my grandpa. He came. He's like, "You can call the police." We called the police, and then I think the guy was leaving as the police were coming. So they were like, "Yeah, we saw that white car that you were describing. It's just," and I was like, "Cool." So wow. Never caught him. I was fine. It was really no big deal other than the fact that I was deeply traumatized and I've been carrying those scars with me for the rest of my life.
This is where my brain goes to. Like when you say, I don't want to be defenseless like that again. So are you a gun guy?
Good question. I would not qualify myself as being a gun guy. I just don't think that like, I've never really been like that interested in them. I did become a knife guy though. So because it's much easier as an 11-year-old to buy knives on eBay than it is to buy like, weapons.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'd go and they'd be like, are you 18? I'm like, for sure. And so, I had probably 50 or 60 knives when I was a teenager, high schooler.
Oh my God.
Again, no longer doing that, but
okay.
That's why I grew this beard out. That way they can, people just automatically know.
Yeah. You're unfuckable with, right? I love that. We talk about that in yoga teacher training all the time, like unmessable, and just all the not enoughs. So talk to me about your clients' not enoughs. What do they bring? What mindset do they bring that you have to help turn around, and how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think like the surface level not enough that everyone brings to me is they don't not enough energy. And on one hand, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But on the other hand, I think it's like that is a symptom of a deeper problem, because it's not like, oh, I have not enough energy. Like I can't go practice football. It's like, I don't have enough energy to hang out with my kids or to be like fully present, or not enough energy to like put down my cell phone for 2 seconds to like play Magnetiles or whatever else. So I think that's what really like, because a lot of my clients are entrepreneurs, they're business owners, but they're also dads or family men or things, or like, they want to prioritize their family. So they seem to have enough energy for like their meetings in the morning. They have enough energy to put off the gym and sign another contract. But when it comes to like prioritizing their health, prioritizing their time at home, that's the big problem they have. So I think that also stems from a lot of like the insecurity around like that. I think like a lot of my clients deal with this. I don't know if this is like a human thing or just like kind of the demographic that I work with, but just like not being good enough providers. These guys really want to, be providers, be like the cornerstone of their households. And most of them are entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are kind of a different breed in terms of like, you only get to eat what you kill. No one's feeding you. So I think there's some insecurity that comes around that. There's like, there's also like this kind of this, a little bit of madness in the entrepreneurial community. So I think that you have to be kind of a special kind of person to do that. And I think you're either motivated by a little bit of fear, or you're motivated by like growth and improvement and things like that. And I think that is an evolution that can come out of fear or not enough mentalities, but it has to I don't know very many people who have started and just been like, I just want to get better. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm having a great time out here,
What type of stuff then do you have to say to them? Like, what are your tools that you give them?
A lot of this takes place, I would call them like a strategy call. So I've done strategy calls with hundreds, probably like a couple thousand people at this point, because, some people will decide to become clients and some people won't. And either way, that's totally fine. But during that call, what I really want to get to is like, why is this important? Because like, if I'm a health and fitness guy, if I do talk about training and nutrition all the time, then like people come to me and they're like, I want to lose weight, right? That's like the chief thing that people talk to me about. I want to lose weight. I need some more energy. And I go, okay, cool. Like you need to lose 30 pounds. Who cares? Like, why? Why is that important? And like, I think even that's a question people haven't been asked before. Most of the time, it's just like intrinsically 30 pounds is valuable. Therefore you should lose it or whatever. Yeah. So I go like, I'll be the first person to push back on that and be like, why is that important? And they're like, well, if I had 30 pounds less, I'd have more energy. I'm like, great. Who cares? Why isn't more energy important? And they're like, well, I'd be able to show up for my family. And I'm like, why is that important? Like, yeah, I know, like we get it that showing up for your family is important, but like, why? Why to you is that important? And then it's like 3 or 4 whys later, they go, my dad was never around. He always worked. And then as soon as he retired at 65 or 70, he had a heart attack and he died. And I don't want to do that to my family. We go, there it is. That was what you needed to talk about to get to make this actually important to you, because 30 pounds, no one cares about that. Like you want to get in shape before your wedding. I think women like leading up to the wedding are the best clients ever. And afterwards they're the worst clients ever, because their why is completely centered on this individual event, this singular day. And once that's done, there's no why anymore. So like that's why people yo-yo so much. Some people, like, especially these hard charging entrepreneur type A people, are like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop this weight. They starve themselves. They eat tilapia and asparagus. And they're like, great, I accomplished it. Now let me go back to doing what I was doing. And they don't make a change. So more so than like, okay, you need to lose 30 pounds. Great. Let's start by counting your carbs. Like, let's get to the bottom of it. Why is this important? What's going to keep you coming back? What's going to keep you doing this? Like, now, like in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, like, how are we going to make this a lifestyle rather than just another fad diet?
Do you kick clients out?
I have. I don't like doing that. I'd much rather catch that early and just decide we're not a good fit. But I've had a couple of clients that I've had, like, personal training clients, probably more so than online, like, coaching. But like, the energy vampires, people who just bring a lot of negativity, just want to complain, want to talk you down.
Kind of like me before the show.
I wasn't gonna say it. Nah, Jill, you're fine.
Okay. I'm not easily offended, which is par for the course for my generation, I think. But
perfect. Well, let's put that to the test today.
Yeah, go for it.
When I was a fledgling personal trainer in my first or second year, I had this couple, and they worked out together, and they were like, so I'm like 21 years old, 22 years old or something like that. And they would just come in and just natter at each other all the time. So I was like, no, this can't work anymore. You get the first half hour, you get the second half hour. And then she would come in and be like, well, he said, and then like they would switch and he'd be like, well, she was like, and I'm like, y'all you guys got to stop. Quit bringing me in the middle of your marital problems. And so eventually I was like, listen, like, I can't train you guys anymore. And I made my manager sit down with us. The whole gym was like, it was like this event, because I don't think anyone had ever said no to a client before. Because, like, again, like, no one's paying you money to be there. You only get to make what you actually earn. So right. I don't think people were used to like someone saying no to training someone, but I knew at that time, like, my mental health is much more valuable than like the $20 I make from this session.
That you're so much more to that person than just, here's the exercise you need to do and here's the food you need to eat. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I feel like, I am a certified personal trainer, and that's like pretty much all the everything, only thing I can claim. But I know that I've played therapist. I've played, to a varying degrees, like doctor or physical therapist. I've played like marital counselor. I've played like comedic relief. I've played like shoulder to cry on. I've played best friend. There's a lot of different roles you fill and you step into as a trainer. And this is a lot more for that personal training, like one-to-one aspect. As an online coach, I don't get quite as much of this. It's a lot more like, hey, let's focus on like the mental things. Let's get back on track. But like when you just have someone's undivided attention for an hour and they're trying to really not focus on the Bulgarian split squats you're giving them, like you hear all kinds of different stuff, all kinds of like different things going on with relationships, things going on with professionally, things going on with kids. And like this goes both ways, because like on one hand, like you got people who are like, oh my gosh, another horrible day at work. And you're like, cool, only 58 minutes left. But then on the other hand, like, so I worked as a personal trainer in Seattle for this incredible gym called Pro Sports Club out there. And there was 150 trainers. The gym had it was like 500,000 square feet, like 7 pools, 3 basketball courts, medical spa, regular spa, auto spa. It was like the Microsoft gym. Yeah. And my clients out there, I used to say, like, bring me your problems, bring me the world's problems, because the hive mind of people that I'm associating with right now is such a high level that I can solve any problem that you bring. And I still believe that. They're like, I had some just insane people that I was working with from all walks of life, different levels of like different like startups and big companies out there, and just the smartest, coolest people I've ever met. So, it definitely works both ways. And I think that's an incredible thing about being a personal trainer, is that you get to associate with really excellent people and people who have a lot going on. And so there's really not a lot of other professions where you can just step into that and like help someone else out who's light years beyond where you are.
Yeah. Talk to me about, I'm going to totally switch gears here. What are your thoughts on shows, or I don't even think this show is around anymore, but like Biggest Loser shows and super fad diets. Like, I don't even know, like, are you a paleo guy or are you a keto guy or are you it's whatever works best for my client guy? But talk to me a little bit about the fads and then a little bit about like shows like Biggest Loser. And are you on board with that type of training?
If there was such a thing as being an anti-keto guy, that would be me. I'm definitely against fad diets. Like any type of diet, like here's the thing. It's not about like cutting out all carbohydrates. Or it's not about going vegan and cutting out all meat products. It's about telling people that there's a hack. Oh, you missed out on something. And by cutting out 30% of all the macronutrients that exist, that's how you get results. You don't have to think about food. You can eat butter in your coffee. You can eat these keto treats and keto ice cream. No, like that's bullshit. And like that, and the mentality that, I'm sorry for swearing in front of your 4-month-old. But the mentality that like, hey, you like, there's a cheat, there's a workaround, there's a hack that like, that's going to make this easier. And you don't have to be accountable for your actions is the thing keeping so many of us soft and weak. And so I think paleo is actually great. I think that's like, that can be really helpful in terms of like general eating, but I wouldn't say I'm a paleo guy. I just think that like, if that seems to like fit you and your lifestyle, awesome. Personally, if I'm going to put myself into a camp, I'd say I'm a $1 million body method guy because that's the method I created. So I'm kind of have this, I'm like supposed to like that. You know what I mean? But
you're a little partial to it.
I'm a little partial to it. I don't know if I'm entirely like completely being objective here. But I also will say that I think this is the best diet for the people that I work with. And so a lot of people will ask me like, hey, I'm running a marathon in January. Can this diet help me? And I'll be like, nope. Like I need to build a lot of muscle. Does this diet help? I'm like, nah, definitely not. So like if I get the right person into this system and they'll start to see results right away because I'll help them see that their why is actually connected to why they're eating this certain way. And I'm going to teach them how to ask that right question. Rather than being like, what do I want to eat right now? And the answer to that question is Cinnabons. I ask them to think about what do I want to feel like after I eat this food?
Yeah.
And the entire system is predicated on that question. How do I want to feel afterwards? So that's why we have a protein and a fat in the morning, have plenty of energy, a low, steady drip of like low key energy all day, a really light lunch. So you get a lot of your stuff done, check a lot of boxes in the afternoon, and then a bigger dinner, higher carbs to sleep a little bit better. All of these things are all based off of how do I want to feel afterwards rather than what do I want in my mouth right now?
Yeah. So in my yoga teacher that I took training under calls it eating from cause. What will this cause me? Will it cause me fatigue, shame, guilt, temporary pleasure, temporary pain relief, or will it cause me energy, good sleep, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, eating from cause, I think same thing, just a different way to say it. But as you know, like when you're training or teaching somebody, you have to say things 100 different ways, 100 different times. And, because everybody connects with things just on a totally different level. Accountability. I think if I can go on a rant about current situation of society, I think that so many people are so distracted by Hollywood and superficial, inauthentic ways to look beautiful, or like Botox. Like I fucking hate Botox. Okay, don't get Botox. Botox paralyzes your muscle, and then your muscle's not moving, and it weakens and it droops more. And then guess what? You need more Botox. So
I was actually thinking about getting Botox, so I'm glad we're having this conversation.
No,
my eye's been twitching though. Like I was thinking about getting it in my eye so it stops twitching.
So this is the way I had this horrible neck problem. And that's the way that my doctor described it to me. Cause he's like, well, the last thing we can try is a Botox injection. And I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, I know you've only heard about it for cosmetics. But this is what it's doing when people are using it for cosmetics versus this is what it's doing when you're using it for like an actually medical necessary purpose. But anyways,
are you telling me, Jill, that you don't want to look like you're always surprised?
No, yeah, I know. I can't even do it.
What's going on? No, I just look like this. It's normal for me.
I want my lips to move when I talk so people can see them.
Overrated.
Well, yeah, nobody can see people's lips anymore because they're all hiding behind their masks. But
how deep do you want to go down that rabbit hole?
I have some big opinions. Okay. big time opinions. So back to my rant about the direction of the world. Everybody wants the quick fix. Nobody wants to put in the work. Everybody has been told their whole life that they're great and they've never failed. And now all of a sudden they're an adult and they're failing right and left, and they don't know how to cope with it and deal with it because they've never learned how to fail and bounce back. They've never learned how to change their mindset after a failure. So when you talk about accountability, what do you see on a just a bigger level that's going on right now in the world with accountability, and why it seems so low?
I think I think there's a big piece to what you just said about we've been told for so long that we are a special, unique snowflake, and that, how many people who, I was born in 87, grew up in the 90s. Like, how many people in my generation were told that they were gifted? I feel like 90% of us were above average, right? So, and then I was maybe smart, but also a C student. So I wouldn't really have called myself above average in any capacity, but I was told that my entire life. And I feel like having that thing, oh, I need to perform at this level, and then you don't, it's oh, well, maybe, I don't know, just this causes this disparity, or this mental dichotomy that, like you said, kind of puts this this stress out, and we don't know how to cope with it, and we don't know what to do when we don't meet expectations. And so then I think that we get into this vicious cycle of well, if I can't be perfect, then I might as well blow it all up. Right. And I think we see that a lot. It's really easy to point a finger at a diet, right? You have 2 slices of pizza on a Saturday and you're well, hell, I guess I'll just have 27 White Claws on a Sunday. Then, diet starts Monday. We'll figure it out in January, sort of thing. So it's this lack. It's not maybe it's not even accountability. I don't know. I don't know. I think people don't take enough responsibility for their own actions. But I think there's also the lack of the ability to cope with failures, like you said. The lack of almost lack of self-forgiveness, where you can realize that being 80% on a consistent basis is better than being 100% for 1 week and then 0% for the rest of the time.
Yeah. So $1 Million Body, getting back to that other part that you said, tell me about that.
Yeah. So basically, I want to go kind of back into what you're talking about, personal accountability, before I talk about $1 Million Body, because I think that you're right. People don't have necessarily they don't take control. They don't take responsibility for everything that happens to them. And I think that if you ever read Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership, I think that he really nails it by talking about listen, you're in charge of everything that happens to you. You show up late for an appointment because there was a car accident. That's your fault. You didn't prep your food, so you're having you don't have enough time to go out to eat. That's your fault. Something happens, someone else inconveniences you, and you're behind now. That's still your fault. And then once you're able to take ownership and accountability, responsibility for not just the things that I'm directly responsible for touching, but also all the other things that I encounter or deal with or produce on a regular basis, you just put yourself in a different echelon of people. You're not necessarily bound to you have now you have an internal locus of control. It's I can do whatever I set my mind to. And it's not so much more who's going to let me, it's but who's going to stop me mentality. And I think that's the mentality that's going to get you results, whether it's in marketing and business, whether it's in fitness and nutrition, whatever it is. If you can develop that sort of ironclad mindset of who can stop me, I'm the only person who can stop me, then you're going to be successful. That's why I think one of the mantras we have with the $1 Million Body method is you can't lose if you don't quit. So as long as you keep moving forward, you're going to be successful. Whether that's building your business and scaling it up, you're going to be successful as long as you don't stop. Even if you have 2 pieces of pizza, you're going to be successful in your fitness as long as you don't stop. And I think that is an incredibly important aspect of personal accountability that I try to showcase or teach all my clients.
I love that. I have 2 quick stories. One not controversial, the other super controversial. When I was in grad school, there were kids that would show up late and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I was getting coffee," as if somehow it's the coffee's fault that they were late. And I would just sit there and literally want to rip my eyeballs out of my head, because I'm and I'm going to end up with the same degree as this guy. And he's probably going to go on and get that like big, huge marketing job
because he
that I
met
applied
someone in
to,
line for
and he'll
coffee.
get it and I won't. What was that?
He met someone who's going to give him a job in line for coffee. So
well, potentially, yeah, being at the right place at the right time. But I don't know, for some reason, like that one instance just stuck with me and annoyed me and clearly still bothers me for years. Talk about unresolved issues. If you're going to get coffee, leave 15 minutes earlier so you can get to class on time. Like, because then I don't have to sit there and listen to the teacher repeat everything she just said just for you.
Yeah. Or you go like, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. It's because I'm dumb.
Yeah, thank you. But the other example I have of extreme ownership is like, again, going back to yoga teacher training. Sorry about that. In my level 2, there was a woman who had just a very tiny voice. Getting up and talking in front of a room of people, you could barely hear this woman. She spoke so quietly. And over the course of the week, she got up several times to talk. And the trainer, the guy that we all learn from, is at the back of the room, kind of trying to get to that root issue, right? So it turns out that she had been raped multiple times, and he got her to take that extreme ownership of the situation. And this is why I say it's controversial, because people are going to be like, you can wear whatever you want and you're not asking for it and blah, 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 But it was like, well, did you walk in that dark alley alone at night? And should you have maybe done something differently? Should you have called a friend? Should you have, just not put yourself in that situation? Did you repeatedly go into your offender's bedroom? Did you go in there for some reason, time and time again, and then it happened? So, and I don't even remember like what the situation was, but she was able to just like you said, take extreme ownership of the situation. And by the end of the week, her voice changed. Like her literal power came back to her. And she spoke so loud and so clearly in front of the room that she didn't need a microphone anymore for everyone to hear her. It was the most incredible transformation. It literally happened in front of all of our eyes. It just, and that, talk about that stuck with me. So I always just think about like, put yourself in somebody else's shoes or whatever it is. It's just like, leave your bullshit excuses at home. If this woman can take extreme ownership for that type of trauma, that's just so powerful, in my opinion.
Totally. And I think that that's a whole nother level. Yeah. Either way, I feel like, like being able to just kind of like take that responsibility. Have you ever seen the movie 8 Mile?
Is that the Eminem one?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a complaint about that movie.
Oh, do you want to do the complaint first, or do you want me to talk about how great it is first?
No, my only complaint is I couldn't see it. It was so dark. So I have I don't remember it.
On your remote, if you go to your TV remote, there's a little button you can turn it up and make it lighter.
Okay. This was like back in the day when I watched it. Those buttons didn't exist.
Now who's dating themselves?
Anyways,
the thing that's awesome about that movie is that at the very end, you may not have seen it, but you probably heard it. There's a battle between Eminem, B-Rabbit, and Papa Doc, right? Do you remember this at all?
No.
And so during the battle, like Eminem, rather than like, he goes first, and rather than like waiting for this guy to say a bunch of stuff about him, because the whole movie, he's getting the shit kicked out of him, he's getting beat up, this guy takes his girlfriend, he's just gonna down in it, So like, and then the point of a battle is to like make fun of the other guy and do it in a creative and clever way. So instead of doing that, what Eminem does is he goes, listen, here's everything this dude is about to say about me. Yes, I'm white. Yes, I live in a trailer with my mom. Yes, he had sex with my girlfriend. Yes, my friend shot himself in the leg with a gun. Yes, like I'm white trash. All these things. And then he goes, but also I know something about him. His name is Clarence. He went to private school. And then when it comes time to the other guy to rap, he has nothing left to say. So I just thought that was super awesome, because like I love in sales, like obviously as a personal trainer and as a coach, like you're doing a lot of like sales. Again, entrepreneurship is just like that. But covering objections and saying things ahead of time, like what's what someone else is going to say about you, your product, or whatever else. And I think that kind of in taking extreme ownership and having that like visceral, like self-awareness, where like you can be like, listen, yeah, I know I screwed up. I came with coffee. Like, yes, I was late. Yes, I didn't prioritize this class. Like, yes, this was a mistake. And I don't think I deserve for you to go back and repeat the situation. Like, how much more valuable is that? Like with the same same behavior, same activity, for you to be like, yeah, I screwed up. I suck sometimes. Sorry about that. My bad. I'll just be back here trying to catch up on notes. Like, who are you going to respect more than people being like, sorry, it is coffee, my iced coffee. I don't know. It's crazy. You know?
That was a spot on impression. But yeah, no, it's so much more respectable from the teacher's point of view, from the students that showed up on time, from their point of view. And now I'm not embarrassed to have the same master's degree as you. Like, because otherwise it like devalues, and this is me letting it, but it like devalues and degrades my master's. Like, this idiot just was given this degree and so was I. And you know, I'm gonna go out there and hustle, but yeah, so it's interesting because I wanted to ask you, you talk about strategy with your clients. There's a million gazillion trainers, just like me. There's a million gazillion marketing, consultants and yoga teachers. So what were the strategies that you used to get ahead in your business and, create the opportunities where you got to write a lot of columns and articles for some bigger names?
I've written for a couple different publications for Huffington Post, Ask Men, Breaking Muscle, T Nation's probably the one I'm most proud of. But I like the story about how I got to write for Huffington Post because my biggest thing, the thing that I've always feel like I've been done better than anyone else is that I can just be consistent. I know I'm patient. I have a long-term mentality. I can do the little like ticky-tack work day in and day out that's required to be successful. And I'm dealing with that right now, like where I'm like, nothing's working, being all butthurt about it. But with the Huffington Post thing, I somehow obtained Ariana Huffington's email address, and I emailed her 29 times over the course of about 6 months. That's not a joke. It's 29 times.
You just wear people down. That's your strategy.
Okay, well, that's a little, putting it bluntly, but sure. I'd like to call it following up, strategic follow-up.
It's my method. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll teach you the 3 P's about how to do it. It's perseverance, people skills, and putting yourself first. And
I bet you have a strategy for every subject line. I bet you were, I've had people that have tried to tell me like, well, if you put this in your subject line, you're going to get 75% of people that actually answer and click your email.
My best subject line ever in my emails was, had nothing to do with the email at all. It just said Snoop Doggy Dog, and people opened it. I don't know. That one is free. You're so welcome.
Everybody loves Snoop Dogg. That's why.
Yeah. So anyways, I emailed Ariana 29 times. And then on the 29th time, she just emailed me back one line. Hey, Nate, thanks for reaching out. Email this person to submit an article, and she'll get you set up with like a username and like editor privileges, basically. And I was like, cool. And so I was like, wait, are you telling me that I can just write for Huffington Post whenever I want to now? And basically the answer to that question is yes. So I wrote like 20 articles over the course of like a year or two, just because I was like, this is great. Got a platform to do stuff. People seem to, read the Huffington Post more than they read Nate Palmer's blog. So it was really fun.
Did you have a blog?
Oh, have.
You still blog?
Yeah. Well, it's mostly turning podcasts into articles and stuff like that. But yeah, I've had a blog since like the 8th grade, and it doesn't exist anymore, but I've gone to Wayback Machine.
Dial-up internet in 8th grade, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Zanga was my number.
Very ahead of your times.
Thank you. I've never gotten that before. No,
I was still in chat rooms back then.
I wasn't allowed to be in chat rooms, so I had to put my thoughts somewhere else. I couldn't tell strangers them.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so again, circling back to what was some of your other strategies, things that kind of have gotten you to where you are today, and some of the things that haven't worked that you've tried that you could share with entrepreneurs?
Oh man, yeah, I've done a lot of stuff that doesn't work. I think that the other strategy then, like that's kind of got me where I am, is just like building relationships and having relationships with people that are, kind of like in similar pursuits. So that way, when I do reach out to someone, I'm like, hey, I saw you wrote for T Nation. Like, do you mind, like, can I have can I get the email address to email the editor there? And they're like, sure, go ahead. And you have that relationship where you can ask someone like that. And and I think a lot of times like that has worked out well for me, because someone goes, hey, you know what you need to do is you need to write this email or write a book or do this thing or show up here or whatever. And I go, okay, it sounds like good advice. Let me take that. And I go do the thing. And then people are like, oh, wow, like that's a guy who like took the advice that I gave him. So then I show up later and I go, hey, do you have someone's like contact info, or can you introduce me to this person? And they're like, sure. Yeah. Like, obviously you're going to make me look good in this situation. So I'm happy to like share that. So that's been a strategy that has worked out just like as a general like thing for me. One thing that I have done a lot of times and has never worked out for me is creating stuff and selling it before I ask anyone if they want it.
I'm guilty of that.
So I spent a couple $1,000s, hundreds of hours when I was in Seattle trying to build a website that I was thinking of that would be like iTunes music store of workouts. So it's called Grab and Go Workout. And it was just me writing tons and tons of programs and selling them for 99 cents. So of all of my investment, all my time and everything else, I made approximately $0 off of that website. No one bought a single one of my workouts. And that's because no one wants to buy a single workout from a website that they've never met before. So there was no market for it. There was nobody asking for it. I was like, I have this great idea. And then I was like, you know what I'm good at is starting things. So I just started it up, built the website, had the logo, wrote the workouts, had all these things up. And I was like, all right, who wants one? And everyone's like, not me. So I was like, great. You know what I'll do next? So I started a business called Bod in a Box. And it came in a bag, but bod in a bag's got this weird like body bag connotation.
Body bag, yeah.
And so it like my wife and I traveled through South and Central America for about a year. So it was like based off of the workouts that I had done to stay in shape while we were gone. And so I had like a suspension trainer in there, I had some bands, sliders. Then I wrote all these workout programs, and I was selling it basically, giving the people the equipment for free and doing like a $50 a month membership. But what I found is that people who needed a membership, who needed like results, they already like, they don't RX, a suspension trainer. They want to show up at a gym. They want to have a personal trainer. They need some accountability, and they need lifestyle and nutrition to like get them to be like, hey, use this new piece of equipment that you've never used before. And by the way, is like intermediate, if not advanced. They were like, no, thanks. And the people who like TRXs, people who were always like, already like, yeah, like I can do that. They already had a yoga practice. They already went to Orange Theory. They were just traveling a little bit and they needed something for on the road. So I just kind of mixed models, and it was not super successful because of that. So that's been my secret to failure. What I should have done is taken some of that money that I invested in that business and gotten a coach and gotten someone to help like walk me through the process. Cause I was all by myself. I was inventing it as I went along. I wasn't like following anyone's thing. And I think that did not serve me. So like, yes, like I think that like, trying to follow along and do exactly what someone else is doing is probably not going to lead to the exact results that they've gotten. But I feel like having a framework, it's like following a recipe where it's like, okay, I understand what the ingredients are. And then once you can sort of mix and match it, then you can start like being more creative, but you got to know the rules. You got to know the recipe before you can start freestyling. You know what I mean?
And I actually just said this. So I think when I was doing an audio yoga recording, I was like, I can say something till I'm blue in the face, but until you apply it to your body and your situation, like it's not going to sink in. It's not going to click. Right. And it's kind of the same way in business. So $1 million body, what's that mean?
Basically, that's like with the people that I work with who are entrepreneurs and business owners, financial success is a big part of why they do what they do. They want to be financially successful. Every single one of my clients will admittedly will tell you straight up, I will skip the gym to sign a new client, to sign a new contract. So I want to meet people where they're at. And I want to tell them like, it's based off of one guy in particular, who was a client of mine here in Phoenix. And he basically was like, hey, I need more energy. I don't have energy for my family. I'm drinking 3 Bang Energies drinks a day. Like, I've got 30, 40 pounds to lose, but I'm not going to work out. And I'm going to eat out 5 days per week because I'm on the road for 10 to 14 hours. what can I do? And I was like, all right, well, those are your priorities. Let's create something that works for you. So we talked with that. It's like, that's kind of where the base of the $1 Million Body program came from, helping him have more energy, because at the end of 2 months, he got back to me and was like, hey, this program's been awesome. I'm like, tell me about it. He's like, well, man, my energy's been way higher. I feel great when I get home to the kids. I don't have to sit on the couch and watch ESPN for 30 minutes before I can like engage with them. I'm like, that's cool. Like, really great to hear that. And he goes, oh, and I've lost 22 pounds in 2 months.
Dang.
Like, okay, well, we might be onto something here. So if we can get best of both worlds, teach you how to utilize the nutrition for the energy, for the things that are important to you, families and finances, and we can get the physique element as well without necessarily stressing about it. Perfect.
That's impressive. And he still doesn't work out?
Oh, he works out now.
Oh, okay.
in that phase of his life, starting a new company, driving around, like dude was driving like, probably between 4 and 6 hours a day, just kind of. So that's basically the program that I have right now. So like kind of what you were talking about earlier is like, hey, don't just give people like basically things that are structured and have them like follow along with something that everyone else has already done. Well, essentially that's what I do. But basically what I found is like when I was first starting off, I would always offer custom programs or custom workouts or things like that, custom macro plans. But what I found is that people don't care about customization. They care about results, right? So if I can give them a proven program, something that actually like that I know for 100% of the time will work if you implement it, they're gonna take that. And that way it's very easy for me to be like, okay, you're someone who falls into this very specific vertical, this specific metric. I know this is going to work for you. You want to run a marathon? That's not my purview. You want to build some muscle? That's not really my purview. You have 150 pounds to lose? I can't help you with that. You want to do a vegan diet? Not for me. So like I know who I can help, and I can help them really, really well. And it's not everybody. And that's okay.
I love that. Well, and that just goes back to, again, in business, just knowing your target market, defining your target market, and realizing that your product or your service is not for everybody. How long then did it take you to figure that out, to narrow your focus like that?
So like from like the start of my personal training career to actually having it like nailed down, like no more than 9 years.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's quick.
Yeah, it's fast, right?
Yeah.
Like only like 15,000 hours, like not even a big deal.
Mm-mm.
Like 15,000 hours, 3 failed businesses, like easy.
And a couple bucks.
Yeah. Well, only one of which that I think is actually like substantial enough. Like this first book I wrote, Passport Fitness, all based on like travel, training and stuff like that, didn't sell super well in 2020 for some reason. I don't really know why. But it was a collection of tips and tricks and hacks and things like that. So
did it come out in 2020?
Nah, in 2018.
That's some bad timing.
Yeah, no, I think I sold one copy in 2020. But the new book is tactical. It's like, hey, read this, implement this. It's a 28-day plan. So
I always ask authors, did you have a ghostwriter?
No, I did not. I enjoy writing too much. That was really fun for me.
Did you go to college?
I did.
Yeah. What'd you major in?
Business.
Oh, okay. So you're a business guy first.
No, I basically shirked all my academic responsibilities in pursuit of reading about fitness and nutrition, like my entire senior year.
Got it. You stopped at the juice bar and were late for class.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I sold newspaper ads all through college, and that's kind of how I got my that's how like my education came from. Because like this is neither here nor there, but I was a transfer student from community college to university, so I was always 1 year behind. So when the sophomores were registering for their classes, I had to wait till freshman registration, which means I got like the bottom of the barrel picks on my classes my entire time in university. So I was always having to crash classes. I was always ending up with like some like dumb, like 7 a.m. environmental psychology class taught by like a 90-year-old guy. And I just like, so I hated my classes. I never enjoyed anything that I like, besides like 1 or 2 psychology classes I took. I never had really like that much fun. So if I could just post up on my computer and read for hours about like the different ways of training the biceps muscle, I was into that. I'm an action taker. I'm a ready, fire, aim type of person. So that serves me well in some capacities. And also, like I described before, makes it very hard for me to be successful with some of my original businesses, because I was like, this is a great idea. And I know it's a great idea because I thought of it minutes ago, and now it's going to happen. So I'm all about taking action, but sometimes that's to my detriment. So no, I'm not a certification hound by any stretch.
Yeah. That is so funny. I can relate to that 100%. Okay, well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because, I've already taken up a lot of your time, and so I just want to ask you a couple things. Like, what is your overall message for our audience today? What do they need to hear today?
What you need to hear today is that no matter where you're at, no matter what your goals are, if you keep going, you're going to succeed. What one man can do, another man can too. So like if someone has already done what you want to accomplish, that means you're capable of it. You can do it. And the only thing that's stopping you is the fact that you keep quitting over and over again. So how do you want to show up today? How do you want to be remembered? And do any of those things require quitting? And the answer to that question is no.
And talk to me a little bit about where they can find you.
Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram or Facebook at N8 Training. Or I spend a lot of time in a Facebook community called the $1 Million Body Community. So if you go to N8trainingsystems.com/group, that'll get you there. So I put up most of my free trainings, meal plans, workouts, and stuff in that group.
Awesome. Great. So I'll definitely post that in the episode notes for listeners so that they can connect with you. Anything else you want to share today?
Yeah, I just had a lot of fun chatting with you, Jill. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.